All right, let's dive into an ancient text that has fascinated and, let's be honest, confused people for thousands of years, the Tao Te Ching. This isn't really a rule book. Think of it more as a guide to a completely different way of thinking about the world and, well, our place in it. Right out of the gate, the very first line throws a curveball. It tells us that the thing we're here to talk about, the Tao, can't actually be put into words. Anything we say about it is just pointing in its direction. It's not the thing itself. So right away, it sets this tone of mystery. It's inviting us to experience something, not just define it. And yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If you can't name it, how on earth are you supposed to understand it? Well, that's the whole journey that Tao Te Ching takes us on. It uses words to point us toward a reality that exists beyond words. Okay, so our first stop is this idea of the Tao as the origin of everything. The book describes it as this formless, silent source that all of reality just kind of flows from. It's something that was there before the universe even had a name. And this is where it gets really cool and a little mind-bending. The text defines the Tao by what it isn't. It says the nameless is the source of it all. But the named, that's everything we can point to and label, like a tree, a rock, you, me. That's the creation that flows from it. So the Tao is the deep-down reality before we chop it all up with our labels. And here's this brilliant metaphor to help us get our heads around it. The Tao is like an empty container. But it's not empty like there's nothing in it. It's empty as in it holds infinite potential. It's the source that everything is drawn from, but you can never, ever use it up. And that idea flows perfectly into our next core concept, the paradox of being. The Tao Te Ching teaches that reality isn't made up of a bunch of separate things, but of these dynamic, inseparable pairs of opposites. Think about this for a second. The text says, when people see things as beautiful, ugliness is created. The second we decide something is beautiful, we automatically create the idea of ugly. One simply can't exist without the other. They pop into existence together. And this isn't just about beauty. It's everything. Being and non-being give birth to each other. Difficult and easy complete one another. Long and short to find each other. Our whole world, our whole experience, is just this constant dance of opposites. Now, this whole paradox thing gets really personal. The book applies the exact same logic to our own lives, to our own growth. To become whole, you have to be okay with being broken. To become full, you have to allow yourself to be empty. It's all about embracing the full cycle, not just desperately clinging to the parts we label as good. This brings us to probably the most famous metaphor in the entire text, water. Instead of celebrating force and being rigid, the Tao Te Ching says that true strength is actually found in being soft and yielding. Just like water. The text just puts it out there, so simple. But why? What's the big deal with water? Well, it all comes down to how it acts in the world. So let's break down its qualities. First, water helps everything grow without fighting for the spotlight. It just gives. Second, it naturally flows to the lowest places, the humble spots nobody else wants. And third, just by being persistent, this incredibly soft thing can wear away the hardest rock. That's the Taoist model for power, gentle, persistent, and humble. And that idea of humility leads us to another key concept, which is called pu, or the uncarved block. It represents our natural state, simple, full of potential, before we get all carved up with society's ideas, labels, and ambitions. So the uncarved block is basically our original nature. It's about getting back to a state where we're not defined by all these complex roles and desires, but we're just open. We're full of possibility, like a block of wood before a sculptor decides it has to be one specific thing. The sage, or the master in the text, totally gets this. By staying simple and undefined, like that uncarved block, they stay flexible. They stay open to whatever life throws at them because they're not stuck in some rigid identity. Okay, so this all sounds great, very philosophical, but how does it actually work in the real world? Well, let's look at leadership. The Tao Te Ching has this totally radical idea about power that's all about letting go of control. And this slide lays it out so clearly. It's a huge contrast. On one side, you've got the master's way. They act so subtly that people feel like they're achieving things all on their own. They trust people, they don't need a million laws, and they don't use force. Then, on the other side, you've got the intrusive ruler. They make endless rules, which just creates more rule breakers. They rely on force, which, as the text says, always backfires.
And this quote right here, it just nails the whole philosophy. The ideal leader, or really any effective person, acts for the good of the whole situation without needing to own the result or get the credit. You just contribute, and then you let it go.
So now the book kind of turns the mirror back on us. It's not just talking about ancient rulers, it's asking you this question. It's challenging us to look at our own relationships. When we try to help, is it really helping? Or is it just our own will in disguise?
And here's another one that's a real gut check. It forces us to look at our priorities. The book suggests that all this chasing after honor and stuff, it often comes at the cost of our actual well-being, of our true self.
And we're going to end with this last beautiful paradox. We live in a world that is constantly screaming at us to learn more, to get more information. But the Tao Te Ching suggests a totally different path. It says true wisdom doesn't come from adding more things to your brain. It comes from unlearning, from letting go of all those rigid ideas so you can have a simple, direct experience of reality. And that's a thought we'll leave you with.